This is the ABQ Business Podcast
with your host, Jason Rigby.
Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit
That's in every entrepreneur.
discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems,
And the problems we can all solve together.
for a new future for local small business.
Just read in the Albuquerque Journal that we had the highest amount of cases today than we've had. And I can hop on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. I can look at what's going on around the world and here in each state. I can go on the CDC website. I can go on NM Health. And I can look at all these, and it could cause me to be afraid. And I want to talk a little bit about today about fear. And the title of my podcast is from Faulkner. He wrote this. He wrote, "Be scared. You can't help that, but don't be afraid." And I love that. And I got a lot of this information because I always like to give credit where credit's due. I never want to take something from somebody else and not give them credit. Ryan Holiday, amazing author. He wrote a lot of stuff about Stoics. So if you haven't looked, it's Ryan and then Holiday, just like Holida. He's got a lot of good books out there. He has a blog, and I read it occasionally, and this one was really good, and it's called The Important Thing Is Not to Be Afraid. And he goes into the importance of having courage, especially in times like this, especially in times of crisis, when we as leaders or business owners, entrepreneurs are stressed out, and it looks like there's no end in sight. We may be into this month. It could be the next month. We're not really for sure what's going on. Everything changes daily. We've got this influx of negative news media that is pumping us with information. We don't know if it's true or not. And we know they have this idea. If we watch them, they can throw advertisements out. So are these just little a way to grab us and to get attention? Or is this the actual news? We don't know. And all of us have questions. We're not doctors. So in this time of uncertainty, because that's what it is right now, it could cause us to lose our nerve. It could cause us to cower away and not be proactive in the things that we need to do to accomplish what we need to accomplish for ourselves, for our family, and for our business. And I feel like in these shaky times, mastering our emotions, and he talks about this, is knowing when to react when something's out of your control and knowing how to act when it is out of your control. And I love that quote, and I mentioned it earlier. Be scared. You can't help that, but don't be afraid. And I think this is what's urgently needed today. Whether we have this collapsing stock market, or we have this issues with unemployment, or we're looking at maybe shutting down our business for a period of time, we're having to lay people off, we have a pandemics. We have to understand what being afraid is. I know if somebody walks around the corner and scares you, we've all laughed about that. We've all had that. Being scared is just a temporary feeling. It's a feeling that you get, and it's temporary. And he says this in the article, being afraid is an ongoing process. Fear is a state of being. I want to repeat that again. Fear is a state of being. And we all know whenever we're startled, whenever something happens and we get scared, it wakes us up. It puts your body begins to, adrenaline starts flowing and you begin to feel alive and you get into motion. It's like that. I had a friend and I were watching these videos of these animals, these wild animals that were getting away. And there was tigers with a giraffe, and then there was a wolf with a moose. And you're just watching this incredible nature just playing out itself. And, it's cruel. And a lot of times we look at animals being really cute, but, it's survival. I mean, it's snowing outside. They haven't had food. They're dependent upon this for them and their families. And there's this, am I going to be the hunter or the hunted? Am I going to constantly look behind my shoulder and worry what's going on? and I shared with you guys this last week, is I don't want the virus to be an excuse for me to be inactive. I don't want the virus for me to be an excuse for me to be cowardly. I don't want to use things as excuses and play the victim. I'm not into that. Some of you may disagree with me. That may be controversial in what I'm saying. I'm saying be safe, of course. Don't ignore it. But I'm saying at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can do for myself, for the people that I lead, and I want to inspire in a time of crisis, and I want to make sure I have courage. A leader has, even though they may be afraid, they have more courage than their followers. And what your business needs, what your family needs, is solutions. And there's problems out there, and I understand that, but there's creative ways to where you can be proactive. I heard one today where this lady owns a dance studio for kids. Of course, you're not going to have groups of kids in a dance studio anymore. So what she did was she has where they go online and they have where they do little dance studios. She also does YouTube live where she reads bed stories at night, to the kids. And she's being really proactive, really active. And then she went so far as to keep safe distance, not knock on the door or anything, but drop off Easter egg baskets. And that's perfectly safe. Put a mask on, grab some baskets, drop them off at each of the doors. But just lots of different things that you can do to be creative. Because if we're in paralysis, if we're afraid, then there's inaction. And I think there's a lot of people that are sitting just being fearful, having comfort food, not doing anything, not working out, just sitting at home and kind of just waiting. They're in this holding pattern, this zone where there's nothing going on. It's just stagnant. And we all know what stagnant water does. It's not helpful for anyone. And I want everyone to know that when you're stagnant, and he talks about this, there's an inability to learn, adapt, and to embrace change. You have to be fluid. There has to be movement. And he talks about this, and it's really beautiful. There's a Hebrew prayer which dates back to the early 1800s. And it says this in Hebrew prayer. I'm not going to say it in Hebrew, but it says, "The world is a narrow bridge, and the important thing is not to be afraid." And I know the Jewish people have experienced incredible adversity. They've had tragedy after tragedy. We can watch what happens, what has happened and what has happened to the Jewish nation. And it's crazy that they have these prayers and these reminders to constantly remind them over and over again that fear will not help you, that you must persevere through a crisis and move forward, and that together we can overcome and we can accomplish anything that we need to accomplish as long as we stay true to ourselves. And I love what he says because this is so true. And I encourage all of you, if you have employees, maybe you are one of those that are having to do Zoom meetings with your employees, or maybe you're a leader and you're having to go to work and you're having to deal, you're in charge of nurses and you're at that nurse station and nurses are worried about getting corona and they're working extra shifts. This is what he says, and I think it's so important. These are tenets as a leader that you can do. He says, number 1 is training. Number 2 is courage. Number 3 is discipline. Number 4 is commitment. And number 5 is calm. And he says the number 1 thing is courage. And that the Stoics, because he wrote a lot of books about Stoic philosophy, they held this as the essential virtue. And he goes on to say about this astronaut, Chris Hadfield said this, "It's not like astronauts are braver than other people," he says. "We're just, meticulously prepared." And they were talking about John Glenn as he was orbiting the Earth, for the first time, and that they were monitoring his heart rate, and it never went over 100 beats per minute the entire mission. And he talks about that's what preparation does for you. You need to have more training with your people. You need to display courage. You need to discipline yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually. You need to make a commitment to those around you that need you. You need to have this calmness that only you can have. And the courage will show itself organically through that. You don't have to manufacture anything or fake it till you make it. That's not the way to do it. If you get up in the morning, you do your exercises, you do what you're supposed to do, you clear your mind, you get a schedule together of what you need to accomplish for today, who you need to influence, how you need to display courage to others, what training are you going to do to make people better in this time. You need to be doing training. I talked to somebody the other day and I was like, your sales team needs to know things are changing forever. Social distancing is a real thing. It's gonna change everything, guys. This is something that's gonna happen every flu season. We're gonna be a little bit more paranoid. Masks are gonna be a normal thing, guys. Masks are gonna be a normal thing when people are sick. We're gonna start seeing that. We're gonna see people being a little bit more distant. Online is gonna be more. Time where people are spending at home is going to be a thing of the norm. You guys have to adapt to that. How is your sales staff adapting to that? How is your business adapting to that? And now during this pause, and I was thinking about this as I was running, the world is kind of paused all around you, and you have the ability to fast forward ahead of them. Because a lot of your competition is paused, and it's almost like Matrix or something like that. It's almost like I'm running really fast, but the rest of everything around me is going really, really slow. And I just imagine I have this time. I have a month, 2, 3 months, 4 months where I can get ahead of the curve. I can get ahead of everyone else. It's preparation, guys. It's this training, courage, discipline, commitment, and calm that people need as a leader. And when you don't display these tenets, and I've seen this over and over again with bad leadership, they come in, they're so egocentric that they make it worse. They overreact. I was talking to an owner of business the other day, and one of their leaders was doing this, and I told them, I was like, you have got to either let him go, fire him, lay him off. I don't care what you do. He is causing disruption. He is making it, in a time of crisis, he's making it all about him. And we all know those egocentric leaders that are that way. We've had issues like this in the United States that have gone on from the 1800s, the 1700s, since we founded our country, the 1800s, the 1900s, the stock market crash in 1929, where unemployment was over 20%. And the market collapsed, and there was nothing that went on for like 3 years. And then finally we saw FDR come in, and then he came, and he, in his speech, he talked about fear was a choice, and that fear was the enemy to be fought. And he knew that that would be the thing that would make the situation worse. And I want you to know that you need, as a leader, to tell those around you, fear is a choice. And that is the enemy. If we're all fearful, and we all run and hide, and we all coward, and we are not productive, whether we stay safe and we're quarantined in our houses, we can still put out tremendous amounts of work. We can still have this spirit of entrepreneurship. We can still say, okay, maybe it's time to revamp my whole website. Let me do that. Let me take the time. Maybe I want to do podcasts every day, or blog, or whatever it is. Maybe I need to update my social media. Whatever you have to do. I'm going to make, for the rest of 2020, with this situation, I'm going to make a new marketing plan. I'm going to build these systems out that I've been meaning to build out. I don't know what it is, but each of you have to get essential. There are, and I'm going to tell you this, people are worried about income and stuff like that. Let me tell you something, business owner. You need to go through every single bill every credit card statement for the past 3 months, you need to go back and find things that you can cancel. There are things that you do not need. You do not need a lot of the things. Not only personally, I'm talking for your business. There's a lot of expenses that you can cut out. And what you thought that you could get lean in, you can get a lot leaner than you think. You need to ask yourself, will this move my business forward right now? Is this essential? Is this what I need? Or can I do without this temporarily? Can I do without this permanently? It's amazing to me to watch when businesses get lean and then they lean into leadership, how they can squeeze that little bit extra out of people and overcome extreme amounts of adversity. We have to put one foot in front of the other, regardless of the circumstances happening in front of us. And we have to be, as leaders, meticulous in the things that we do. We have to understand that our life is a life to be lived. And that the world is scary and everything around us is scary, but we're going to choose not to be afraid. Ryan Holiday talks about Marcus Aurelius, and he faced a deadly, dangerous pandemic. And as a leader, his people were all panicked. Doctors didn't know what to do. His staff and advisors, they had no idea what to do. And they were talking about, why wasn't he rattled? Why didn't he freeze in his leadership? Why was he able to overcome this and move his nation forward? And this is what he wrote. He said, "Don't let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Don't try to picture everything bad that could possibly happen. Stick with the situation and ask, why is this so unbearable? Why can't I endure it? Don't let your imagination be crushed by life as whole." And that's what fear is. It's allowing our imagination and emotions to run out of control. He became a hero in a crisis. He prevented panic. He saved life. And that is what we must do. We cannot allow people in our organizations to panic. We can actually become the hero. You know how? Because people respect leaders in time of crisis that act. And whether you like Trump or not, whether you hate his guts or whether you love him and you're a Trump supporter, it does not matter. It is amazing to me how many people are saying, well, I really don't like his personality. I really don't like, but he seems like he's kind of got this. There's a lot of Americans out there that are saying, I think he's kind of got this under control. And I'm going to say something that may be controversial, but I don't see what is so bad about the way that he's leading. Yeah, I know he's egocentrical and narcissist and all that. I get that. But the people that he surrounded himself with, the people that are being smart, the briefings that he's giving, the way that America has gotten together, I know it's not just him. But I look at leadership, period. I'm not looking at a political party. And yeah, we can pick things apart from the left or from the right. I get that. And a lot of you know where I stand politically. Everybody always likes to try to tag me and say, I'm left, I'm right. I'm like a mixture of it all. I'm kind of a weird hybrid when it comes to that. But I don't see someone that is inconfident. I don't see someone that's hiding. I don't see someone that is out there not knowing what to do. I see someone that is dealing with the China issue, is dealing with the WHO, is dealing with corporations, is dealing with Congress and Senate and the politicians, is dealing with the CDC and putting those people around him that's smart enough to be able to make the decisions. Even if he disagrees with them, even if they're on a different political party, he's still willing to do what needs to get done for this country. And I think it's time that we need to put politics aside and what you are and how you feel about the person. Not every leader is going to be perfect, guys. Not every leader is going to be able to check all the marks for who you are. And yes, in November, you get a chance to vote him out of office or keep him in office. That's up to you guys. And that's freedom. And that's the right that each of us have. But at the end of the day, and I did not vote for him. I want you guys to know that. I'm going to offend some of you and some of them are not. I didn't vote for Hillary either. So that tells you where I was at. I didn't like her, did not trust her, and I felt he was, way off the top. So when I'm saying this not as me being a Trump supporter. I'm saying when I see leadership, I see it. And we need to look at that a little bit better. Yeah, he may not be as articulate in his words, but whenever you have the country on your shoulders in a time of crisis and you're not hiding and you're out there and you're saying, what can we do to make this better? What can we do? I respect that. And I encourage each of you to look at it in that lens. Like I said, whether you like him or you hate him, look at his leadership. Look at his abilities when he stands at that podium day in and day out, and he's making decisions for the country, and he's getting those people around him and having them speak too. Listen to how they're interacting with him and how he's interacting. And you're going to see something that is totally different in the sense of what leadership is. A lot of people did not like Lincoln in a time of crisis whenever he was president. And we've seen books after books of leadership, but I've read them on him. And even people in his own cabinet hated him. And he had that ability to get people together, even people that were against him, get people together and have them make decisions to better the country. And no, I'm not comparing Trump to Lincoln. I'm going to get some DMs on that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is today is the day to not be afraid. Today is the day that you say, okay, we got this. I know we're dealing with this issue. People in my, God forbid, my employees, my family, we may get sick, we may not get sick. We're facing a crisis, but that's not going to stop me from doing what I need to do as a leader, because this is the time. Guys, listen, this is the time to be the leader that you need to be. This is when true leadership comes out at its most. And if you haven't listened or read any books on Ryan Holiday, I encourage you, you can go to Kindle, Amazon, whatever, and download them. Stoicism is a really good philosophy to have right now, especially. But as a leader, guys, what can you do to make it better? What can you do to make your family better? What can you do to make your employees better? What can you do to make your business better? That's all I'm asking. Be the person that you would want. I was talking to someone yesterday, and I'm going to close in this because we got to be done. I'm at 22 minutes ranting here, guys. Thanks for listening to me, by the way. Sometimes I'm like, I'll listen to my podcast. Let me give you a little quick. If you want to listen to my podcast or any podcast and you want to roll through them quickly, especially go to the speed on the bottom and put it at 1.5. You'll get used to it really quickly, and you'll be able to listen to podcasts so much quicker, and you'll be able to grasp everything. So when I pause or when I'm thinking or any of those, it'll just go a lot quicker. So put it at 1.5, not only for me, but I'm telling you, I listen to every podcast that way at one point. Some people I can't, they're going so quick, like Gary Vaynerchuk. He goes so fast, I have to really, really, really pay attention to him. And if you're not listening to Gary V for marketing, it's an amazing podcast. But I'm telling you, this is where you shine. This is where you have the ability to impact and make loyal employees forever in the way that you treat them. This is where your family is looking to you at the most to be the leader that you need to be. This is it, guys. It's easy to lead when everything's going great. But when things are going worse, which they are, this is the time where you should step up. Yes, I know we're fearful. I get it. I am, you are, we all are. Let's admit it. But I'm not going to allow this to make me afraid and to hide and to coward. So I encourage you guys, be brave, have courage, have discipline, be calm, and let's move through this together. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast.
And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com.
Make sure to subscribe and share, and go to abqpodcast.com.
Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur
and business owner.